All right, so what is a power block? If you've been watching any of my videos, you hear me talk about power blocks, you hear me talk about power pivots, and the power block essentially is one of the key signatures in price for identifying direction of order flow, for identifying reversals, and it's at the core of our primary setup that we trade day in and day out, the power pivot setup. And so that setup we use for both reversals and trend continuations. The power block is based on the tick chart. So on ES, we use a 2000 tick chart. NQ, we typically would use a 1000 tick chart. Essentially, it's the last down close candle plus the swing low before creating a new high that we wait to see price come tick below. Once it ticks below, that confirms it as a power block. Okay, so we look for it to be broken. And then once it's broken, then we can look for our pivot pattern, which is a pullback into the power block. And it's okay if it goes above it as long as it doesn't break the high that it made. Okay, once we do that, then we look for our signal. Okay, we look for a strong entry candle plus our signal on our power bands for our power pivot setup, which would have happened here. Now, there's a lot of other nuances to it that the students in the mentorship would learn, and that I teach in my private mentorship program around when and where. Context with anything in trading is absolutely key, but did want to show you how it looks and how it shows up and where it plays into our trades. Okay, so in this case, you would have had an entry on the close. Once this candle closes, we wait for the next candle to tick below. We want to enter one tick below. Once that's broken is our signal to enter our trade. You risk at the swing high and you target 2R. So in this case, that would be 8.5 points, which on ES is a good move. Okay, and so you can see there, you're in your trade. So again, it's the last down close candle and the swing high the last down close candle that created a swing high plus its low. Then we wait for it to be broken through. That confirms the power block. And then we look for our setup criteria. Okay, so I'll just clear the chart here. The opposite is true for a long power block like we have here. So this up close candle plus the swing high, it's the high of that candle, becomes our power block. So we call that a bull block. So it's high, and this candle created this low. Price broke above it, and as soon as it did, it's now a confirmed power block, and we look for our setup rules. Now, where it happens is absolutely important. This is earlier this morning, so this was around 11:30, and so this was a key area of interest for us where it would make sense that we were looking for a power block. Okay, we call it a get ready zone, and so you want to make sure it's happening in the right place. Just like this one up here, the power block push price, sent price to take out the daily high, the all-time high. Then we had our reversal pattern down here. We pulled into a key area, had the same pattern happen. This is actually, if I recall, this was the 618 fib of the move, the big up move that happened after the FOMC presser and Powell, after he finished speaking yesterday, price moved up, created new all-time highs during the overnight session. And so this is around the 618. We got a rejection off of it. And so we had our setup, power pivot setup long to the upside. But as you can see, the power pivot or the power block is an absolutely vital part of us being able to identify our trade setups. Okay. Now, they also function as a way to enter in trend continuation trades. And so we had right here this up close candle or down close candle plus the swing low. That is our power block that moved into, there's a 15-minute gap up here from this morning. It moved price into that M15 gap, mitigating it. And then we got our pattern to enter For our pivot pattern, there was a short trade that we caught right here, continuing down. So you got your reversal. That starts everything. You have your reversal trade, and if it sets off a larger trend, then you can start picking either adding to your position with this setup, or you can find if you hit your 2R, then it gives you opportunities to jump back in. And so let's take a look at what that looks like. Just want to find some here. Again, so we have this candle here. Okay, so we have this down close candle, the swing low creates this high here. Price comes below, breaks below it. Now, because we're in a continuation setup or a pullback setup, we are looking for a price to pull back into it and then give us a signal short, which it did. And then you can enter your setup, put your stop loss above the high and target 2R. Okay, you can see here, I mean, these are little pullbacks. I just want to show how price respects them as well when you're in a good trend. Right, same thing. This is the bearish candle plus its swing low that created this high. Was also a 200 EMA retest, which we like. Price displaced below it. Doesn't need to, it can even just tick below it, and that's fine. If you get displacement and a pullback, even better. You look for your signal, you enter your trade, stop loss above the swing high, and you target 2R. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, we've got this swing low here. Created this swing high. Price broke below it. Pulled back into it. And then you get your signal, and then you target 2R covering out this swing high. So you can see setup after setup after setup. You can go back and you'll see the setups that I called out in the previous video when I was reviewing this morning's session. But this is how we are identifying our power blocks that we were taking our setups from. Here is another one. Now this one, nothing happened. So we didn't come back and test this power block. Okay, so no entry for us. You've got one here, but then we didn't, yeah, we've got one here. We pulled back, but we never came back to retest it. And by then we'd already reached our get ready zone or area of interest to look for a long. So price keeps coming down. Yeah. And then we enter our area where we're looking for a reversal, which is here. So now let's start looking for it to the upside. Okay. So you've got your power pivot reversal pattern, which we already talked about. Okay, you've got this. Let's see here. It's the up close candle plus the swing high. So this is, I mean, that's a bit of a doji, as you can see there, but it's still closed green. So it's that candle that plus the high that created the swing low. Okay, so that becomes our bull block. Price moves up, breaks it, confirming the power block is now confirmed, pulls back, and you look for your entry. Okay, now this one here, you have to watch is how deep are we getting into our down leg from this morning, and are we entering into any other PD arrays? But you've got room here. You do have your 200 EMA that you would have to be mindful of. For myself, I probably would have sat this one out. I think it did play out. And we were in this one already. So we would have actually, I believe we missed this one because we were already watching this trade here. Okay. And I always recommend that revisit to the 200 EMA, be careful, because you can often see a reaction or a rejection from there. Okay, so price pulls back. Let's see, I'm just going to mark this here. Yeah, so we're pulling back here, and we are pulling into 15-minute bearish gap and an order block. That's why it's important to continually look to the higher time frame. Always stay aware of the higher time frame and the areas or PD arrays that are being created, the areas of interest, like our gaps that are being created along the journey. Okay. And so another reason why, yes, you got this power block here, but you wouldn't want to take that right into a bearish 15-minute gap. Especially, we knew earlier we had key price objectives that had not yet been hit to the downside. Settlement was down here, and so our thinking was that there was a good opportunity for us to come down and potentially hit settlement. So now, let's take a look again. How does this look? So you've got this power pivot, or sorry, power block. There's a bearish power block right there. Okay, price broke below it, pulled back. You get a signal. For us, our rule of thumb, you hear me talk about it all the time. For our reversals, we always want to wait till price comes down, test the 50 EMA, and then give us a signal. Okay, and by the time we broke here, we also broke this one right here, this power block. So you can kind of follow them down as you see here, and you would have gotten an entry right here. Now, I was telling one of the mentees that whenever you get that first trade into the 200 EMA, it's best to wait till we get below the 200 EMA and wait for a retest. And this is where we can wait and play a continuation trade. And so here we are. So we have this bear block, this down close candle plus the swing low created these highs here. Okay, and that now becomes a bear block. Wait for it to displace below the 200 EMA, pull back into the bearish power block. Then we look for our signal, right? So now we know, okay, we're below the 200 EMA, so we're not as worried about it acting as support and then continuing higher. We also have stacked confluence with the 50 EMA. We're now below the 50 EMA, coming back to retest it. We're retesting the power block, and we're retesting that bottom of that 15-minute bearish gap. So we would enter here. Again, we're getting our signal off our power bands. So this is our signal candle. We get the signal on our power bands to confirm strong bearish bar. We've got one tick above our swing high for our stop loss, and we're targeting 2R. Okay, so that's a $500 trade if you're trading one contract on the S&P. Okay, so let's continue. So here we are again, another down close candle plus the swing low that created a new high. Okay, it creates another bearish block. It confirms when we break below it, price pulls back into it, gives us another signal. So if you missed, like you can see the opportunities, if you missed the reversal because you weren't comfortable trading in the 200 EMA, which is what I would advise, waiting to get below it, then you had another chance here. Then we created a power block after when we created this high. We broke below it, and so price comes into it, tests it, and then starts delivering away. We get our signal on our power bands confirming. Okay, and targeting 2R, so we're risking 9.5 to make 9 points. Great, so we continue on. Taking a look here. So we have this one here, but we actually, when we broke below it here, we didn't get a signal. So we are actually protected from being caught in this stop hunt and retested the 50 EMA. So following the rules is key. So now we have this down close candle plus the swing low right here. Okay, so that's our new bear block. Okay, so let's see here. We break below it, we pull back, we get a signal, but it doesn't get triggered. Okay, again, our entry is one tick below. We wait till this candle closes with confirmation on our power bands. The next candle has to break its low. Then we get another pullback into the power block. Then our signal actually came on this candle. We had confirmation on our power bands. We had our stop loss at 7 and a quarter point. So you'd be targeting 1450. Yeah, right here. So that is one option. Our objective was this daily low, yesterday's low. We had already achieved settlement, so the next target became this daily low. So maybe, you're holding out for that low at 20 points. Great move. I more likely tend to be on the conservative side and just stick with my 2R, because I know after testing forward and back testing this for as much as I have, the probabilities of hitting 2R are very high. Not uncommon for us to come within a key target, them to stop within a point or a few ticks, and then reverse, create some inducement, and then come back and take the daily low. And that's why I like to front run and get out before that and just lock in my 2R. Right there. Okay. And then, let's see. So that's a good example of what PowerBlocks look like, using them for reversals and then using them for trend continuation setups. But you always want to ask yourself, what PowerBlocks are being respected? All right. Once you've got your reversal underway and you start seeing, how price is moving, are we violating bullish PowerBlocks and respecting bearish PowerBlocks, or vice versa? And that will give you a really good sense of the direction that price is moving based on the PowerBlocks it's respecting or violating. So if you're interested in learning more, check out the link in the description about the private mentorship. Would love to see some of you there. And it's a really effective strategy. ICT traders, I love ICT, super grateful for it. I still use a lot of the principles in my trading today, especially understanding of liquidity, draw on liquidity, price objectives for the day, the story of price. But I needed something with additional confirmation to get me in the trades, and that's why I created the PowerEdge Trading System. Plus I trade, what do you call it, supply and demand, levels, all of that. This system works great. And so for a lot of different types of systems, this is just an extra way to add additional confirmation to your entries. Thanks very much. Have a good rest of your day.